Hi everyone! Today I wanted to take a journey down memory lane and tell you a little bit about my photography journey and how I ended up where I am today. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention my dad, because he has definitely instilled two big things in my life, and the first one was love for metal and rock music, and the second one was a passion for photography. He always had a camera whenever we would go on holidays, or he just would have a camera at the ready for all occasions. And then after the analog stuff, we switched to digital. He would always carry a compact with him whenever we would go places and for every special occasion. So funny enough, I did not start with photography per se, but I started with editing some self-portraits, when I was 12. You know how teenage girls kind of get with their pictures, and I wanted to do interesting artistic stuff with things, and Photoshop was kind of new back then, and I was just trying to make something cool happen. So I started with different softwares and played around here and there, and then I got into Photoshop and my whole life and perspective changed. My parents actually noticed that I'm super into this photography thing, and because of that they decided to gift me my first DSLR when I was 16, which was a moment that I distinctly remember. My 16th birthday, they gave me a Canon Rebel XS. They don't make that anymore, it's a discontinued model, but I used that for pretty much 7 years. I started doing modeling photography, I started gig photography with that thing, but the first thing that I did was self-portraits. I was pretty bullied in high school and secondary school, and I distinctly remember that my first self-portrait shoot that I did with that great DSLR was a portrait shoot when I was feeling very, very depressed, and I put on this kind of like a Joker kind of makeup, and I was feeling really sad, and that thing really helped me express my feelings. And I realized eventually that it became kind of like a cathartic process to take pictures of myself, and I used to also write. I had a blog, but photos were much cooler to do because I was so passionate about this visual medium and what you can do with it. Then at 19 I moved to the Netherlands, and I started having this curiosity in the alternative niche, because I've always been in this niche myself. And I was also particularly curious about latex photography because it was something that I started seeing a bit of, and it seemed like such a cool fabric and such a cool unique material to work with, and to have in pictures the shine and the whole aspect of having something that's a bit more interesting and more eye-catching was very appealing to me. So the first modeling shoot that I actually had was a latex shoot with Elena Lovebite, with whom I'm still friends. It's been almost 10 years now, and we're still friends, and we've worked together. I think we've done together 20-30 shoots, different shoots, but she was wearing a cat suit, and it was actually a duo shoot with her and another friend of ours, and we did this thing that we managed to get a location inside an art school, and we just went around the whole art school and shot here and there. But the funniest part was that I remember distinctly feeling I have no clue what's happening when Elena started posing. I was so used to taking photos of myself and moving at my own pace that when I got a seasoned model in front of the camera and got to take pictures of an actual different human being posing, I was stunned. I was just, every time the camera would make a sound, she would switch her pose. She's incredibly versatile. She knows a lot about modeling. So that experience was a bit, for me, the first time around, it was just whoa, hold up, this is not what I'm used to, and it was really funny, and it stuck with me for this long. Then also when I was living in the Netherlands, apart from getting into this modeling photography and taking photos of different people, the scene is very cool, very diverse. And then I also decided that I would be curious to try concert photography. So I started doing that when I was about 21, and my first gig, also distinctly remember my first gig that I shot, was Papa Roach in Tilburg, which was like a very close location to where I used to live in the Netherlands. And I was also not ready for that. I looked up a little bit how things are supposed to, settings, camera settings, and what you're supposed to do with your camera, because gig photography is nothing like modeling photography. Especially I was doing modeling photography primarily using natural light and no studio equipment, so it's completely different beast, completely different settings, completely different things. And Papa Roach, I don't know if you guys have seen them live, but they're incredibly energetic live. And much like Elena during my first shoot, when they started jumping up and down, I just lost it. I did not know. I was not prepared for all that light. Most of my photos were overexposed, and I was not prepared for all that jumping. And then I also realized that my poor little camera that had been with me since I was 16 cannot handle gig photography. The ISO levels were at max, I don't know, 1600 or something. That it was very, very low, and I couldn't push it up as much as I needed to. I couldn't do the settings that I needed to be able to take good photos of that event, sadly. So 99% of my photos were moved and just a whole mess. I think I saved a couple of them, but for the most part it was unusable. So I continued in this path, and then when I was 23, I relocated to Finland, where it's a whole different scene. Unfortunately here the alternative scene is much smaller, but of course we have traveling, and that makes everything much nicer, and it makes things easier. You can connect with people easier, and you can arrange shoots even if someone lives far away. But definitely in Finland there's a big discrepancy between the Finnish stage and the Dutch scene, because people here, there's not as many alternative models, there's not as much activity in this kind of circles. But one thing that I do appreciate here a lot is that Finnish people don't mind paying for their art, which is very much needed, especially in these Corona times. But just generally, they don't mind paying for their art. And I used to have a few issues here and there when I was living in the Netherlands, that people would often say, like, oh, I want to work with you, but realistically they were never willing to actually pay for anything that I would do, which is really disheartening, and it just did not make me feel valued. So I continued here. I've lived in Finland for the past 5 years and a half, almost, I think. And I've learned a lot in the meantime. Like I've shot with hundreds of models, girls, boys. I've done countless of different shoots, and I'm super pleased with everything that I've done. But also I managed to switch my camera, and I got a nicer one, and I've been shooting gigs also quite a lot, and I really, really, really love shooting gigs. I really, really love just the diversity, just how they're so completely different, and it's such a cool medium, and you have all the pretty lights already set up for you. So it's kind of, in a way, I kind of feel like modeling photography has helped me a lot with gig photography, because color toning and everything that I know about how to take a nice picture has come from that. So I think they really work well together. And since then, yeah, since I was 16 my first camera, 19 I got like into modeling photography. Since then, hundreds of shoots, I've done a lot, and I don't intend to stop anytime soon. I think I've just started. I constantly like look and get inspired by other photographers and different movies and music, and I feel it's such an important thing to like keep yourself connected with those things. And I'm definitely in the works for doing more different things. The problem is, of course, this year has been just incredibly strange, and well, past year as well, it's been different. So we have to adapt, we have to adjust, and I'm just really excited to be able to get creative again now that spring is here, so it's a bit easier to do outdoor shoots. But yeah, that's my photography journey, and I am super pumped to be able to do more. And if you have basically any artistic journey whatsoever, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you like what I do, please hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching.